What are you doing, Don?
Get with it, Herb. This is the latest in technology. Virtual reality. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. You look ridiculous.
Well, you're just jealous because you're not basking on a beach in Brazil sipping an anchovy smoothie with a sun-drenched senorita.
Really?
Oh, ole. Shake those maracas.
Oh, Don, can I try it? Can I?
Dream on, penguin pal.
What?
Hey, why don't you see what's shaking on Beakman's world?
Oh, boy.
Many brain surgeries are performed while the patient is wide awake. I'm Beakman, and you've just broken into my brain and into Beakman's world. Beakman!
We have an urgent letter. Ashley Suter from Virginia Beach, Virginia wants to know what causes bad breath.
I haven't a clue.
Bad breath also answers to the name halitosis. Hey, everybody has buffalo breath from time to time. Like when we wake up in the morning.
Or after we eat something with lots of garlic and onions.
Mmm, onions, nectar of the noxious.
Smokers have bad breath 24 hours a day.
And then there's face peeling, knee buckling, barf breath that can clear an elevator between floors.
Hey, Beaks. Ashley already knows people have bad breath. She wants to know why.
Well, to understand that, you have to know about a little something I like to call the mouth. Here are some slides of my vacation. I began my journey at the lips, wending my way that...
Wait a minute. Are you saying that you went to the human mouth on your vacation?
You know, Lester, sometimes the very best vacation spots are right under your nose. Anyway, from the lips, that glorious gateway to one of your head's 5 favorite openings, it was just a short hop to the teeth. Those pearly white choppers that cut up your food so your body can digest it. Here I am at the tongue, the most versatile muscle in your body. Not only does it taste your food, it shovels it down your throat, cleans your teeth, makes it possible for you to talk, and...
Best of all, do this.
My junket then took me to the always scenic salivary glands, where saliva or spit is produced. We need saliva to digest our food, to wash it down our throats, to keep our mouths kissably moist.
Ooh.
And most important of all,
our postal system couldn't work without it.
So, as the sun sets slowly behind the uvula, we bid a fond farewell to that most versatile hole in our face and leave with fond mouth memories to last a lifetime. Now that we know our way around the mouth, let's see how it gets so stinky. Lester? I know I'm going to regret this, but say ah. Oh, scope! The mouth is like a tropical rainforest right in the middle of your face. Like a real rainforest, it has an average temperature of 95 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's 35 degrees Celsius.
And and 100% humidity. It's really damp. And it's nice and dark.
Also, just like a real rainforest, it has a population of billions of creatures of every shape and tiny size.
More than 400 species of bacteria, which are microscopic organisms, live in your mouth.
That's because it's got plenty of moisture and plenty of leftovers from the food that you eat.
In fact, at this moment, there are probably more tiny creatures living in your mouth than there are people living on this planet.
Now that's disgusting, and I should know.
Ha! I have not yet begun to disgust. Bacteria, just like all other living creatures, create waste when they eat.
You mean they're using my mouth as a... Oh!
And it's that waste, Lester, that gives your breath that delightful, lilting fragrance of a decaying muskox. Buffalo breath! The greatest weapon in the fight against manure mouth is this. Brushing your teeth for more than a minute several times every day and brushing your tongue will tell those smell-bound smell raisers that they're not welcome around these parts no more.
And a little dental floss can shut down the bacteria buffet by getting rid of the food that's, stuck between your teeth.
She said a mouthful.
But if you brush your teeth and you don't smoke and you still have bad breath all the time, go see your dentist. He or she will know what to do.
So, Ashley Suter of Virginia Beach, that's all you need to know, sis, about halitosis. Coming up next, we check out a Wrigley field full of wriggly worms. We'll go from mouth germs to earthworms after this.
Beakman's World will be back in a flash. And now, back to Beakman's World.
Let's put on our rally caps. It's time to ignite your id. Here he is, the hod carrier of hilarity, the bricklayer of brilliance, the Audrey Landers of the Druffs and Danders, the one, the only, the Beakman.
You snare 'em, I'll scare 'em. Let's cabbage patch.
Question, Craig Ambrose of Winterset, Iowa writes, Dear Beakman, how much was a soldier paid in ancient Rome?
Answer, a Roman soldier who was worth his salt was paid in salt. This form of payment was called a salarium, and from that comes our word salary.
Question, how many reptiles have shells?
Oh, I'll take that for 100, Alex.
You know, I love questions about shells because I am the shell answer man. How many reptiles have shells? You know, that's nutty. I can hear Billy Ocean. Okay, after giving this question a great deal of thought, I can safely say that I don't have a clue.
Answer, only one reptile group has a shell. This group, the Chelonia, more commonly known as turtles or tortoises.
Now, that's good to know. That'll come up in conversation a lot.
They creep.
They crawl.
They're ugly.
That's all.
It's time for Those Disgusting Animals.
Now it's time to meet and greet our special guests. Hi there. They're well-grounded individuals whose hobbies are gardening, fishing, and grossing people out. Let's give a big those disgusting animals ew, to worms.
Taxi.
You're not worming out of this one, Lester. Worms are any of several kinds of animals that have a soft, slender body, no backbone or legs.
You know, I can relate to the no backbone part.
There are thousands of kinds of worms. And get this, if you cut one in half, it doesn't necessarily die. Many kinds of worms can grow back their missing halves. But like sometimes they get like confused and you get like this worm with 2 heads and 2 tails. Some worms are so tiny you can only see them with a microscope. Others can grow to be 100 feet long. Like the tapeworm that can grow inside a person's body.
Oi, lassie! Let go before you squeeze me kilt-off!
Must be a Scotch tapeworm.
Do you believe this?
Do you believe this? Many worms are hermaphroditic, which means they have both male and female organs.
That's a little bit more than I wanted to know.
Hold out your hands and say hello to the ever-popular manure worm.
You mean these worms actually live in manure?
Well, we don't live in Cincinnati.
Actually, they don't live in just manure. They live in aged manure.
You know, there's nothing so satisfying as a good vintage manure. I always forget, which manure goes best with fish?
White Zinfandung.
Manure worms are also called red wrigglers. And manure worms turn household garbage into compost. Rich, organic matter that helps plants grow like wildflowers.
Compost. Now that's something I could really get into.
What? Anyone?
As I add manure worms to Lester, it's goodbye compost, and see you next time on...
Those disgusting animals! Woo!
Coming up next, could there really be giant insects like you see in the movies? We'll work the bugs out after this. So don't creep, crawl, or fly away.
Beakman. Right back. And now back to Beakman's world.
Yeah. Tonight then, say 9-ish. Uh-huh. You bring the cotton swabs and I'll bring the... Gotta go. It's the boss.
I'm incontinent with curiosity. Phoebe, diaper me with a question.
Well, here's a super absorbent letter from Shaylin, officer of Enid, Oklahoma. Should I read it?
Depends.
That's really good. Dear Beakman, if an ant were as tall as a man, which would be the strongest?
Oh, hey. Thanks, Shaylin. Your insect question's about a topic that's really been bugging me lately.
Carry on.
When you're talking giant insects, you're talking about the science of scale.
Scale. The proportion of an object bears to the object itself.
What the Zoltan Aziz was trying to say is that scale is how big something is. Something else. Here's a guy who can make it all clear. Direct from the pages of Gulliver's Travels. A man of science and a man of fiction. Somebody who knows the long and Dr. Lemuel Gulliver.
Hey, where's Dr. Gulliver?
Oh, maybe Beakman hasn't been keeping up the payments on his Smoky Dora history.
Help me! Help me!
Do you hear that?
Yeah, where's that coming from?
Help me! Help me!
Lester, it's your feet.
Gee, I knew they can smell, but I never heard them talk. Oh, gee, I really stepped in it this time.
Good heavens above! What strange land have I happened upon now?
Dr. Gulliver, I presume
Hey, how's the weather down there, Gully?
Dr. Gulliver, we brought you here because we need help with a question. If an ant were as tall as a person, who would be stronger? The person or the ant?
Why, the person, of course.
But a teeny tiny ant can carry 20 times its weight. Some people don't even carry their own weight.
But you're not taking into account the laws of scale. Observe this wooden cube. If I wanted to make a cube twice as tall, how many of these cubes would I need?
Oh, well, that's easy. 2.
Oh, I hate to agree with him, but 2.
Well, let's see, shall we? There. Now, do we have a cube that's twice as tall?
Hey, we sure do. Thank you, Dr. Gulliver. He's been a big, or should I say, a teeny help.
Wait a minute, Lester. This isn't a cube. A cube is the same size in all directions. This is twice as tall as it is long or wide.
You mean a cube is supposed to be the same height and width and length?
Yeah, like you.
Oh.
Hey! For this to be a cube, I not only have to double its height, which I've already done, I also have to double its length. And I have to double its width. Do I have now?
2 times 2 times 2. 8. Making a cube of blocks twice as tall doesn't take 2 blocks. It takes 8 blocks.
Hey, now this is blockbuster entertainment.
And this new double-sized block is 8 times heavier. So when you increase or decrease the size of something, you have to increase or decrease its height, width, and length. And that, my friends, is the rule of scale.
I'll work for scale. But what does this have to do with the size of ants?
You know, I'd love to stay and answer that question, but I'm afraid I'm about to become someone's lunch.
You're afraid of a little toy?
He may be little to you, but to someone of my scale, he's King Kong! Cheerio! What do these blocks
Have to do with the size of ants. Let's scale in the scope. A person is roughly 1,000 times as tall as an ant. Let's say we make the ant as tall as the person. But as we just saw with the blocks, when you're scaling up, or increasing the size of something like an ant, you can't just make it taller. You have to make it wider and longer. Even though the ant becomes 1,000 times taller and its legs become 1,000 times thicker, the ant is 1 billion times heavier, as heavy as 3 elephants. That's much too heavy for the ant's legs to support. A 12,000-pound ant would be too heavy to even breathe.
So, Shaylin, officer of Enid, Oklahoma, I wouldn't lose any sleep about giant insects.
Yeah, they may make good movies, but they make bad science.
And that's our raves and rants about the scale and size of ants.
What would happen if you were as tiny as Gulliver? It'll be Honey, I Shrunk the Viewers when we return.
So shrink back in your chair and don't go away.
Beakman's World must now take a beaker break. And now, back to Beakman's World.
Beakman,
Yes.
we used special effects to make Gulliver look real tiny, but what would happen if somebody really were that small?
Well, first of all, his brain would be that small too. And since brain cells are pretty much the same size, that tiny head of his would hold a lot fewer of them.
So, he wouldn't be able to reason and think.
And your point would be...
Also, if you were that small, your tiny vocal cords would make sounds
So high.
only a dog could hear them.
Ah, and speaking of dogs, I'd relish one on a bun. A little mustard, onion, and chocolate sauce, and you have what I like to call 2 seconds of ecstasy.
Well, we're out of time.
And out of breathable air. So we'll see you next time.
On Beakman's World.
Boy, what a show.
We learned about bad breath,
Disgusting worms.
giant ants.
And ended up with a big juicy burp from Lester.
This TV is the best investment we ever made, Don.
Right you are, Herb. Boy, you don't see entertainment like this on the refrigerator.
Although the light is better.
Yeah.